What's up, friggin' world? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production.
Well, actually, this is kind of a special video that's not your standard Stay Fresh production because this video is all about us. You guys have asked some questions, and so we're here to answer them.
Couldn't have said it better. Yes, if you missed it, I made a post on my community tab. You'll see it here on screen. We asked what kind of questions you want answered. An overwhelming response, which is exactly what we were hoping for. So we whittled it down, and for the sake of finding what was most meaningful and for the sake of time, we did hand select a collection of questions that we will answer. The first thing I figured we should do, you had suggested this, is we're gonna just each describe our respective fragrance journeys, which I think will cover some ground that was kind of asked in some questions that we won't answer directly, but hopefully this will answer some questions. So Grace, how about we start with you? How would you describe your fragrance journey?
Well, I just wanted to let you guys know we are very cozy. We have a candle lit, have a glass of wine if that's a thing that you do, light a candle, chill out. We want you to feel like you're actually getting to know us and spending some time with us. That's the whole goal of this video. I've always been into fragrances, not to the extent that Justin has. I always was fascinated by the art and loved smelling different fragrances. I love smelling good. I always wanted to smell good. It was always something, always took it as a compliment when someone was like, oh, I smell like you, or I love the way you smell. You always smell so good. So I started right out of college in my early 20s to just really dial in, okay, what does that look like? I wanted to find like a signature scent that I loved, and so I wore Chloe for a really long time. That was like my first scent that I absolutely loved.
Do you remember how you found Chloe?
I went to the mall.
Okay.
I just went to the mall and smelled a bunch of stuff, and it just really resonated with me and probably started some of the seeds of what has become some of my favorite profiles. It has rose in it, so love that. And that's kind of like basically where it ended. I didn't really expand a collection or anything like that. And then I met Justin, and now I'm just deep in it. I'm not intentionally building a fragrance collection at this point, but I am accumulating fragrances through this incredible connection. So yeah, that's in short.
Okay. There's a question that is asked all the time, which is, are you going to start a YouTube channel?
No.
There you go.
I have lots of other fun things that I'm about in my life, but my favorite way to be a part of YouTube is on your channel, my dear. How about you?
Well, yeah, similarly, I've always kind of been obsessed with smelling good. As far back as being like 12 or 13 years old, I had some form of fragrance even in middle school, even if it came down to like putting on a bunch of deodorant, which I will never forget. At my first school dance in 7th grade, I didn't have a fragrance to spray on. All I had was Speed Stick. They had like this musk one. I'll put it here. It's like a brown one. I put that on the outside of my shirt. And I put on way too much. And I got some weird looks. But anyway, my mom always brought stuff home. Not always. Every now and then. Hey, you don't stink at school. Put this on. Whether it was like Bod Man, which is a real cheap, you can see it here on screen, not even entry level, this is below entry level. I've had some nameless bottles, I'll never know what they were. They just ended up on my bathroom counter, and I'm like, oh. And honestly, none of them smelled very good. And it wasn't until my senior year in high school, I received an anonymous gift, a fragrance gift in my locker for my birthday. Opened it up, and there's a bottle of Chanel in there. Chanel Allure Homme, which I've been meaning to revisit. I haven't worn it since then because I wore it for about a year. At the time, it was a little too mature for me. My brother hated it every time I sprayed it. He said it smelled like nasty chocolate. Now, I think it's a very handsome scent. I need to revisit it though. And I actually ended up losing that fragrance because, again, I was still in high school, and the marching band, we went on a trip somewhere where we flew, and I had it in my backpack. Didn't realize it, and then TSA confiscated it, so it was gone forever. I didn't miss it because I didn't spend any money on it. I didn't even love it, so I was like, oh, okay. But now I'm like, man, that's careless. Anyway, less than a year later was college beginning, and from there I received for a gift David Beckham's signature, which is like in this purple, it's like a purple liquid rectangular bottle. And I wore that one a lot. Now at the time, I wasn't really wearing fragrance with the same level of like vigor that I wear now. I might put one spray under my shirt so nobody smelled it, because I think at the time I was afraid of smelling too strong. So I'm like, I'll just put one spray. I'm like, nobody's smelling that, not even me. And might as well not even put it on.
Maybe your belly button was smelling.
Yeah, my belly button was thanking me for about 3 hours, because that's as long as it lasted, honestly. But it was kind of a very synthetic watermelon, fresh kind of scent. It's pleasant, but I went through a whole bottle of that. And I remember re-upping on it. It took me a few years to get through a bottle. Before I finished the first bottle, I was also gifted later on Acqua di Gio, the original from Armani, which I honestly was never crazy about. And in fact, I ended up dropping it and breaking it by accident. And I was like, I didn't miss it. It smelled like eggs to me. And that seems to be a polarizing thing anyway. So I had that and David Beckham. Those two I had at the same time. Acqua di Gio was gone. I finished David Beckham. And this was probably about, 5-6 years ago at this point. I finished that David Beckham. I bought another bottle. And right after I bought that other bottle, it came in the mail and I'm like, I don't feel like wearing this. I want something else. So it was at that point I decided to do an internet search. Went on Google, I looked up like fragrance for men, and it was just like overwhelming. I'm like, this is not helping. So then I went to YouTube. Let me see if do people talk about this stuff? That's where it all began. I'm like, whoa, people make videos about fragrance. I fell down the rabbit hole. I watched like 1,000 videos in like a summer. By the end of that summer, I had amassed a little collection of about 20 fragrances that I'd seen in other people's videos. And by the end of that summer, I decided I was going to start my own channel. Just for the challenge, just to see like, oh, let's see, I'll just give it a try. And that was it. That was that.
Here we are.
Yeah, and now I have more fragrances than my great-grandchildren could ever need. So we're going to go ahead and dive into some of these specific questions that were directed towards us as a couple, as a unit. Okay, so Latanya asks, as well as I smell, I guess that was asked multiple times, where did we meet?
So we met November 13th, 2019 at a gig that my best friend in Portland, who's a piano player in town, was playing with Justin.
I didn't know Grace was going to be there. I hadn't met her yet, but through her friend, she had already kind of known about me. And we met and we vibed immediately, but nothing really sparked just yet. We didn't embark on anything from that moment, but there was definitely chemistry right from the get-go.
I knew I was going to meet him that night, so I was ready.
I was not. I had a mouthful of tri-tip when Grace approached the table.
And he was still handsome and articulate as ever.
Even
somehow.
with tri-tip, you gotta maneuver it around the mouth in just the right way to get those words out.
Anyway, as you can imagine, I was never the same after that moment.
Neither was I. We're gonna move back into fragrance territory here.
Love it.
Looks like Joseph Williams and Nortagnan ask about polarizing frag. Now I assume that means a fragrance that like maybe you love and I don't, or I love and you don't.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one fragrance that I really enjoy but you don't like.
Dunhill Icon.
What a shame.
He loves it. I hate it.
And it's like, I feel like every time you bring it up, first it was like, I don't really like it. And then it's like, I don't like it. And now it's like, I hate it. Every time you bring it up,
It gets worse.
And you haven't even smelled it since
I haven't
then.
smelled it in a while. It's time to re-smell it. My nose palette probably is
It's the
changing.
neroli. Grace is not crazy about heavy neroli, so she doesn't like that. That's okay. In terms of a fragrance that I don't like that you like, I don't think I own anything that I hate.
Well, maybe that one we just smelled. Parfum de Marly, the green.
Greenly?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't hate that one. I just don't find it remarkable, and it reminds me of shampoo.
Carnate fruit.
Yes, that's what it reminds me of. We had many people asking about tying the knot. And I don't think we need to open up a massive discussion here on camera, but I can say that we've definitely discussed it. So stay tuned. Mustached Man asked if music tastes are a factor in how we get along, like our alignment of music tastes.
I mean, I definitely think music ties us together. I'm also a musician as well.
Yes.
And I think that the first night we made dinner together here at in your kitchen.
Stay Fresh Production Studios.
Yes, exactly. In the official studio.
Yeah.
I think I asked you to put on some music, and everything he played was stuff that I had on playlists. And so it was really, I don't know, you don't have to like the same music, obviously, but it is nice when you vibe. And there was a couple times when one of us would start singing the lyrics or someone new. It's just always so cool in a connection when you can say like, oh, I love that too, or I know that song too. It just ties you together.
It's not necessary, but it is a big bonus. Okay, this is a little bit diving deeper into our first encounter. First impressions of each other, like what intrigued us about each other. Yeah, my first impressions of Grace was honestly, she's out of my league. She's so delightful. She looks you in the eye. She makes you feel seen. She really listens this is while we're first talking. Obviously beautiful. I was very attracted to her. And I was thinking she has a line around the block of dudes waiting. There's got to be at least 278 other dudes in line. So I was like, could get in line. I could take a number. But I was definitely drawn to her. It made me think of her after the fact. She really imprinted on me.
Well, as I mentioned, knew that I was going to be meeting Justin, thought I was prepared, but as soon as I walked in to this venue, little small kind of cozy bar, and he was sitting down, he was eating before the performance. And so walking up, I just saw his broad shoulders, and I just instantly got so nervous. And I was like, I was not prepared for this. I tried to play it cool, of course, and like just be really casual and like, greet the drummer and whatever. And then he spoke, and I was like, just jaw on the ground, like, I can't talk to this guy. And then he played. You've heard him play, the intros on the videos, but if you ever get the privilege of hearing this man play in person, like, it's so moving and stunning, and just the expression that comes out of his horn is just it's his soul just coming into being through music, and it makes me emotional every time. It's so beautiful. And so experiencing that was such a powerful experience. And then we had this really deep conversation, which we both love to just go so deep. And so to get all of those elements, just this so attractive, so talented and gifted, and then also to have like this depth and substance, I was just honestly blown away. I'd never met anyone like him ever, and I walked away thinking like, there's no way, but that's the type of guy I'd want to be with long term.
Yeah, that's the video, guys. I don't know what to say after that one. I think we have time for one quick question from Rachel McLean and Christian Kalimkiewicz. I'll say it right. Asking about fragrances associated with our relationship.
Oh, okay.
When we first kind of started talking about fragrances, which was before we were together, you had mentioned that you had experienced Le Labo, which I was very surprised about. And you're like, yeah, I really like this one, Rose 31. And I was like, man, she knows Le Labo. Okay. I mean, that's like immediate, you got taste. It's more than just whatever you find at the mall. So that's one that always stuck out to me, so much so that I ended up getting her a bottle for Christmas.
Which was so sweet and generous, and I love it.
Roger Parfums has definitely played a big role in our collective fragrance journey. Obviously, like supplementing and giving fragrances to Grace. So Creation E is one that is
I just
incredible.
love it. Stunning.
Whenever she wears that. She's also given a lot of wearing to Arco's Pour Femme, which is beautiful scent. Definitely associate that a lot with her because she wears it a lot as well. Speaking of fragrances that Grace wears, a way for you can sample fragrances that Grace likes through DecanX.
That's so true.
Yeah, we're gonna have a link down below. We have 3 new collection sets that you can purchase, and you can sample fragrances that we personally love that were curated by us. We did a whole video on it here if you want to get more information, and there's going to be a link down below, so do check that out and get your nose on fragrances that we're talking about. Kind of a deeper way of you getting to know us a little bit better through scent.
So I think of Percival, which you wore early on a couple times. You wore it a couple different times that summer. And so with strong association. We are not entirely sure the fragrance he was wearing November 13th.
I think it was late.
Which was amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was late.
And then also Danger from Raja was the fragrance he was wearing the night that he told me how he felt.
Yeah.
So that was a big one.
Dangerous decision.
Halfeti Cedar was in our first video that we filmed together,
That
just
was
the
one
two
of
of
the
us.
first like loves you had in the video. I think.
Tabak 28 is a big one.
Yes.
That was one he mentioned, and yeah, those are a few.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorites is Oligarch. It's a stunning scent.
It really
Every
is.
time you wear it, I love it.
It's going to be one of my most worn for the year for sure. I've worn it a lot. Really loving that one this year.
The interesting thing is that, obviously because of the number that Justin has, there isn't like a signature scent. So it's like a scent for every memory, or a scent for different experiences, or when we travel, it's even tighter because he doesn't have as many like smaller fragrances thrown in a travel bag. So if he doesn't check a bag or whatever, it's a smaller association.
Yes.
But that's the joy of dating someone who's a fragrance collector. It's always new and always amazing.
It's always new. Yes, I have so much more that you still need to smell. Anyway, I think that's about all the
That's
time we
great.
have. So we want to thank you guys for
Thank
your very
you.
sincere questions. To those of you whose question we couldn't get to, we do really apologize. I didn't want to edit a 65-minute video and make you watch a 45-minute video. So maybe we'll revisit it with more questions later on down the road. Let us know down in the comments if you'd like to see this again. Join the Fresh Squad. You know how to do that. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our DecanX boxes. Again, link down below. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. See you in the next one.